They've got a lot of dreams about, leaving a legacy for their kids, for their grandkids. What do you hope, for your legacy, for these days on earth? What do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, man, you ask some deep ones, my friend.
Oh, baby.
You really honestly do.
Well, Chip, thank you so much for joining us here. So I am Brandon Bowen. I'm Charleston's retirement coach, and I know you've spent a few days in Charleston, South Carolina.
I have. I shot virtually all of Outer Banks there, but I've been in retirement from Outer Banks myself,
Yes.
so you could give me a hand. We shot all there in Charleston, but I finished up in season 3, but we still have a connection to Charleston, which is that our daughter is about to get married there in April. So yeah, I love me some Charleston.
Where? Well, maybe you shouldn't say.
Yeah, I won't give you the address.
Well, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be very amazing. That beautiful southern weather, and you can't beat it.
Yeah, so I snuck a picture of you, sent it to my girls. They're 16 and 18, and they were like, "Ward, it's Ward!" So they loved, they loved Outer Banks and everything you've done there. So yeah, so wonderful. Nice to meet you.
That job was amazing. In fact, one of the things, we didn't just shoot in Charleston. We got to shoot in, I went to the Barbados, actually, is where we shot. Yeah. And it was kind of during the lockdowns, during the COVID lockdowns. We were able to go out there. We were sequestered for a little bit, quarantined. And then after that 8 days, we were allowed to shoot in Barbados. And it was very, very cool because it was a hard time there that we got to do that at all. But not only that, I did some Zoom rights from my little hotel room in Barbados, and a couple of those songs ended up on my most recent album. So, I mean, for all that terrible that was, it still is amazing that we at that time, 20 years ago, we would not have had Zoom and the connection of all that. And I know how important it was to a lot of the music. So many people don't realize how much of the music they've listened to was written on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, where people were able to get together. And that's how some of my album was.
There's so much struggle that everyone goes through, our listeners, you and my life, we all have those struggles that we go through. And oftentimes that produces the most pure, the most heartfelt stuff that people connect to so often.
Oh, I think so. I know for a fact that people connect with Deacon Claiborne from Nashville, not just because he was on TV, but because he struggled, because he went through so many things. He had his addictions he was dealing with. He had his cancer battle. And, of course, in the very end, he lost the love of his life. And I couldn't begin to tell you how many people come up to me on a daily basis and they tell me that that's what their connection is to that show. And I know for a fact also that all those people coming up to me and sharing those hardnesses, those things that are difficult in life, that absolutely informed my album. And virtually every song has some sort of relationship to what you just said. Life is hard, love ain't pretty, is what it's called. But you find your way through it with your faith, your family, your friends, and with music.
You mentioned family, and next door you just sang a song about your grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what, maybe your dad or your grandfather, what they have meant to you, what you've kind of learned from them? I know we don't have an hour-long show here, but maybe just a few nuggets of really what has helped propel you and motivated you through life and all your successes.
Well, we were having a bourbon tasting over there, so I sang a song about my grandfather and bourbon, because he would have one bourbon every night, and that smell, that aroma, all of that connection brings such fondness to me that every time I have one, I drink with him. So that's called I Drink With Him. But when you get talking about my father was like every man. Your father is so meaningful in your life, and my dad's journey, the things he went through, the things he battled, he had his hard times. And he also had his faith, and he showed me so often how to be a man and how to be a father and how to be a husband by showing me what he had done wrong. And that's a huge gift, because mostly your pride wants you to make it look like to your son that I got this all under control. So when you're able to let that down and just speak real candidly about what you've been through and what you've done, that informs so much of my music. One of the songs on my album, the second one, is called A Little Right Now, and it's talking about those times when you're running low on faith, you're running low on hope. Well, the Bible says all you need is just a little bit of it to ask for more. Wow. And there's a line in there that says, I'm waiting for my ship to come in. That was my dad's line. My dad always said, he was a salesman. So it was always feast or famine. So we'd either go all have steak that night because he just made a sale, or we wouldn't. We'd have some hamburger helper. But along the way he'd go, I'm just waiting for my ship to come in. So that line has a real place of pride right there in that song. But that's just one line out of so many that make me think of him.
You're in it together, your family, growing up, and and now with kids, and a lot of our listeners, are heading into retirement. They've got a lot of dreams about, leaving a legacy for their kids, for their grandkids. What do you hope, for your legacy for these days on earth? What do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, man, you asked some deep ones, my friend.
Oh, baby.
You really honestly do. But that's what I'm about right now. When you're raising these kids of yours, and when you're a young husband, even before that, you're in it and you're doing your best and you're trying so hard. And all I know is I was just absolutely smitten with each one of them. Every little baby and every little toddler and every little young teen and teenager. I just love them all so much. There reaches a point where your influence. I always think of children are like they're like Play-Doh. You can really mold them. You make them say thank you. You can make them say please. As they get older, that clay starts to dry, and it's a little harder to get that thumb in there and to make those adjustments. And at a certain point, they're like marble. And so you got a chisel in your hand and a hammer when they're a teenager. And they're screaming because it hurts, and you're trying to still shape them because you know how hard life is. You know what you need to be. You know the strength that you need to survive it all. But there comes a point where you realize this isn't working anymore, and you got to put the chisel down, you put the hammer down. And then the only thing you really have, I think, is yourself and how you carry yourself. And that's all you ever had in the first place. We only have control over our own heart, our own mind, our own soul. So you say your prayers and do your best to be somebody that they would want to emulate, or that they would want to remember and take advice from. So that's probably the stage I'm in right now, doing my best with prayer and with all the hope in the world of establishing a connection based on them just wanting to be around, them just wanting to ask me questions.
Yeah, well, this is great. Thank you so much, Chip.